Hey there. I wanted to do another video blog tonight to talk about some things that happened this week. And I also posted on Facebook, and Indiegogo posted just a written, I guess like a summary of what I wanted to get out and share with everyone. And that way, if people that want to watch a video can watch a video, and people who want to just read something can just read it. This week has been really, really, a lot of things have kind of happened this week. For the last several of you that live close know us, we've been really kind of pulled away the last month or so, and it's not been just because, being reclusive or whatever. We've had a lot of decisions to make, a lot of things to try to, wrap our heads around, and it's not been easy, and when we have big decisions, especially with things like this, what I'm getting ready to share, Patrick and I, we don't go and just socialize with a whole bunch of people. We don't, go out and, just want to be around a whole lot of people, because in times like this, we tend to pull in together and, really just kind of get away from everyone, all the other voices, and just listen to God. And that's what we've been doing. We haven't, when you've got heavy things weighing on you and on your mind and all of that, it's not the time to go and just laugh it up and, just have fun with the friends and all of that. There's a time for that, and it's awesome, but it hasn't been right now, because when you have so much on you and decisions that you've got to make, you don't want to go and just be goofy with everybody, So anyway, all that to say, I, pulled away, went to Tulsa, spent some time there, a few days there, and just have been reading and praying and just diligently seeking God, praying for wisdom about what to do with this decision that we needed to make. And my doctor actually wanted me to make this decision back in December, but I couldn't make the decision then, because I had to know that I was making the right decision for us, that I was making the best decision for us, and that I knew it was the best decision. I had to research, I had to exhaust, the options that were out there, and know that this was the direction that we were supposed to go in. And so I took that time. I didn't make a rush decision. I took time to really pray, to really, study, to read, and to educate myself. And I consulted with doctors, and basically I've waited until now to say anything, because the decision was made finally, definitively, on Tuesday of this week. And the last few days, I couldn't even talk about this without crying. It was so raw, and I didn't want to do a video with me crying the whole time. And, just those days, I posted on Facebook, the lyrics from a song by Carrie Job. And for me, like, when I'm going through things, sometimes it's like a song, especially like praise and worship, or a certain song can just say so much. It's like you can't get off of that song. I just put it on repeat, and I'll just listen to it over and over and over again. And the song by Carrie Job is called Be Still. And in the lyrics, it talks about, when the waves crash against me and the wind tries to pull me away, I'll stand on this mountain and say, be still, my soul, wait patiently on the Lord and be still. And the first couple of days, when we made this final decision, I couldn't talk about it without crying, like I said. And it was just in those times, it was like I just wanted to pull away from everyone and just be quiet, just be still, and just, I know there's people that are watching this that probably, may not have a relationship with God. You may not know what in the heck I'm talking about. Maybe you do, I don't know. But for me, this is my personal experience. And, in times like this, what gets me through them is I just rely on that peace that just is beyond anything you can imagine or think, that comes from God. And every hard time in my life, when I've needed to make a hard decision or when I've been going through something that's really difficult, I can lean on that, you know, and that relationship that I have with God. It's like, I just sit back and I'm like, God, I need you right now because I don't got this, you know, I don't have this. And I did that, and it was just, I needed that quiet, just not talking, just being in his presence. And you know, it's like, the only way I can describe it is it's like, I just feel literally like he just takes his arms and just wraps them around me. And once I have that, then I know, you know what, we're going to be okay. And it took a few days after we made that final decision. I mean, like I said, I've been praying this last month and a half, just diligently praying about this, seeking God about what to do, and I had to wait until I had that. And once I did, it's like now I can talk about it. I can, you know, I know that we're going to be okay. And anyway, all that to say, I'm really bad at summarizing, but we made the decision. The doctors wanted me to take tamoxifen, which is a drug that is a hormone blocking drug, because the cancer that I was diagnosed with, when they tested it to see if it was hormone receptive, it came back as positive for both estrogen and progesterone, which are the two major pregnancy hormones that a woman carries. And the estrogen was 98% positive. The progesterone was 68% positive. So that means that, and I did verify this with my doctor because I don't have a knowledge base on this. I didn't go to medical school. And I verified with two different doctors that what that means is that the cancer was actually being fed by both estrogen and progesterone. So basically what that tells me, and I've said this in other updates, that, you know, I had two pregnancies, one in 2009 and one in 2010, and I lost both of those babies. And the second pregnancy that I had, the one that was I found out I was pregnant in the end of June, I believe, and of 2010, and when I lost that baby, I was devastated for one, but that's also what ended up sending me to the doctor, which led to my diagnosis. So in a sense, our baby saved my life. I went to the doctor originally to find out why this is the second time in a row that I had lost a baby just right under 12 weeks of pregnancy. And there was no explanation. There was no reason why. Nobody could tell me why. But what also happened is I noticed that there was a lump in my breast and under my arm that after that second pregnancy began growing and becoming painful. And initially I went to the doctor, you know, to have my regular exams and to ask her, what can we do about fertility? And oh, by the way, this has kind of been bothering me. Can you check it out? And when she did, that was on April 5th of 2011, and 6 days later, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. If I hadn't had that second miscarriage, I wouldn't have gone to the doctor. I don't know. So, it's kind of come full circle now. The drug that my doctor wanted to put me on, because of those hormone sensitivities, what that means is that even though I've had surgery, you know, I've had my breast amputated, I've had the lymph nodes removed that were cancerous, there was still active cancer in the lymph nodes when they removed them. 4 out of 5 tested positive for cancer. And after all that was removed, there were signs from those lymph nodes that showed that the cancer looked like it had split the outside of that lymph node, of the largest lymph node that was in there, and it appeared that the cancer was trying to move out to other areas. So they cannot say definitively if cancer cells actually got out and are still in my body. One thing that I've learned after reading and studying is that by the time you're diagnosed with cancer, you've had it for years. It can be up to 10 years, especially with a stage 3 diagnosis. That means that I could have had breast cancer growing in my body for over 10 years. So to say, oh, you caught it early, it doesn't really apply. That means nothing to me because, by the time they find cancer, it takes millions of cells, millions of cancer cells to develop a tumor. And by the time, it's gotten to stage 3, it's already been all over your body, Whether or not it's taken root and grown into a tumor is a different thing. All that to say, there is a real risk because I was diagnosed under the age of 30. I was diagnosed when I was 29 with no family history, and the fact that it was aggressive, that the cancer was aggressive, that it had already reached stage 3 by the time they found it, that puts me at high risk for recurrence. And so I've refused further chemo, I've refused further radiation, and the next step is, because it is so highly hormone sensitive, I have to do something to address that, because the hormones feed the cancer. So if there are any cancer cells left in my body, the hormones would then feed that cancer and allow it to grow. So what the decisions that we were faced with is to either take this drug, which would be a daily drug that I would take for 5 years every day. The side effects of that drug, once I started researching it and looking it up, my oncologist told me, oh, it basically doesn't have any side effects. Well, bullcrap, I looked it up, and the side effects, the most alarming side effects, this isn't all of them, but the most alarming to me was that it can cause heart disease. It can cause, the biggest ones is that it can cause uterine and endometrial cancer. And I'm thinking, okay, first of all, I don't like taking medicine to begin with, and now you're wanting me to take something daily for 5 years that has these potential side effects. It's supposed to prevent recurrence of breast cancer, but then it could cause endometrial and uterine cancer? I don't think so. And on top of that, it could cause heart disease. It could damage my heart. And the chemo that I had, the adriamycin and Cytoxan and Taxol, all of those chemos, all of them, a side effect was heart damage. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done taking medicine that's supposedly supposed to prevent one type of disease, but then it causes a whole other slew of diseases. So I started looking for alternatives, other ways of treating this. And I told my doctor just flat out, I am absolutely dead set against taking tamoxifen. I'm not going to take it. And so I began doing my homework and researching and looking and finding out what are other options. And I couldn't find one that I had a piece about doing. People mentioned about taking progesterone cream to balance out the hormones and all of that, but that doesn't apply to me because the cancer is sensitive to progesterone too. And I verified that with my doctors. And